Hey everyone, thank you so much for clicking on this Netflix review. The fact that you're willing to sacrifice a few minutes out of your day to consume my content really does mean the world to me. And today we're talking about Pacific Rim: The Black. And this series actually completely blew me away. This series, it's probably my favorite Netflix series that's been released this year. I'm not even joking. When it ended, I just wanted so much more. I didn't want it to end. I was hooked on the edge of my seat. The cliffhanger they give you is absolutely incredible. You just want to watch more. And that is a good series. A series that can get you so hooked that you're almost angry when the season ends. So let me give you a brief breakdown of this series. This series is based in the same universe as the first two Pacific Rim films. However, this series takes place in Australia and it has been completely overrun by Kaiju. Our two lead characters, Hayley and Taylor, are part of a small group of survivors that are just trying to survive in this post-apocalyptic wasteland. And they come across a testing Kaiju. They were separated from their parents in the pilot's episode. We're going to take this Jaeger and we're going to go find our parents. And flip, this series is ultimately about two siblings going through a wasteland, fighting Kaiju, fighting bandits, and trying to find their parents. And I don't know what's not to love about that. The animation style is 3D animation aimed to look like 2D. And I think that works perfectly when it comes to the Kaiju and the Jaegers. However, the human characters can seem a bit flawed. They can look a little bit weird and flawed. And I'm not the biggest fan of how the humans look. I can understand why they went with this style. Again, it looks beautiful on the Jaeger and on the Kaijus. But it just really doesn't capture the liveliness of the human characters. They almost seem fake. It's just a pity because I know animation is difficult. I know it's hard to create high quality animation in a short period of time without using CGI. But it's unfortunately just one of those things. But for the most part, it does look great. Talking about animation and styles, I can tell that this series was definitely heavily influenced by Mad Max. I'm not just saying that because they're both set in Australia during apocalypse times, but especially when you see the bandits and the way the bandits move across the wastelands. You can't watch that and not think of Fury Road or the Road Warrior. There's something about bandits and vehicles driving across a wasteland with the dust flying everywhere that just screams Mad Max. I will also say Attack on Titan vibes. There are some serious Attack on Titan vibes. Pretty much, you can even say Power Rangers vibes. Anything with giant heroes and giant villains clashing with one another, you're going to get that vibe. So definitely Power Rangers vibes with the Megazords and the villains they fight. Attack on Titan with the Titans fighting one another. You're going to get all of those vibes in this series. Is this a good adaptation of the first two movies though? That's something I want to address. I was not the biggest fan of the first film. I literally rated it like a solid 65%. I think the visuals were great, but the whole time I was watching it, I was just thinking, what are these pilots doing? Why don't they use their ranged weapons? Why don't they use their swords? Why don't they fight intelligently? And they addressed that with the sequel. The sequel felt a lot better in regards to the action, but the story just really wasn't there for me. This series is a perfect blend of the first two films, and they add in so much of their own mythology. Fans of the movies, I think, might not like the additional changes that they've made to the theology for the series, but I think anime fans in particular will love the changes they've made. There are a lot of changes made to this series. Some of my favorites are the new types of Kaiju we get to see and the different Jaegers and the advantages they have. They really add a lot to the different types of Kaiju we see. We see some Kaiju, my favorite Kaiju, are barely taller than a full-grown man. But they look like wolves, they're dogs, they hunt with pack mentality. I thought that was incredibly exciting, a very unique take. They also took advantage of the Kaiju cross Jaeger nanobot system from the second film. We experienced one of those here, and I think it's a lot more realized. It's an incredibly exciting take on that sequence from the second film. But I know for a fact some of the changes to the mythology aren't going to flow well with the moviegoers and the movie lovers that aren't exactly too keen on anime storylines. There's a lot of story changes here that feel incredibly anime. I know I've used that word a lot, but you'll understand once you've watched the series. There are some larger than life ideals and ideas that are presented here that just wouldn't work in a regular live action film, but feel right at home in anime territory. I think it's very clever for them to set this series in Australia and not America, because then we can continue with the series without it impacting the main story too much in the films. The films are usually restricted to Europe, Asia, and America, whereas this series is exclusively Australia. So they can continue telling this series, and I don't think it's going to impact the movies as much. And maybe that was a very smart creative decision for them to make, so that we don't have the two ever crossing over, but we can still tell two completely unique stories that aren't exactly law-breaking for one or the other. So would I recommend this film? If you're a fan of Pacific Rim, yes. If you're an anime fan, yes. If you like Power Rangers, yes. Anything to do with giant machines, giant mech suits, anything like that. If you're a fan of Gundam, watch this. If you're a fan of big machines fighting big monsters, if you're a fan of just over-the-top action, watch this. But guys, thank you so much for watching this review. You guys are the best, you're awesome. Please subscribe to my channel if you haven't, and I hope to see you again in another review. Hey guys, I just want to take the final 20 seconds out of this video to shout out Sarah and Marek. Sarah and Marek are two YouTubers that I have absolutely fallen in love with. They interviewed me in one of their videos. They do travel videos across the world. They started in South Africa, now they've gone into continental. Their stuff is great and it's educational. Guys, seriously, check them out.